Hi, and welcome to Kids in the Kitchen. I'm Chris Kendall, Family Consumer Sciences Extension Educator with Tuscarawas County Extension Office. And here with me today is my daughter Allison. And I also want to say thank you to my other daughter Adeline, who is doing our filming today. Since we couldn't have our Kids in the Kitchen program as we had planned, we decided that we would bring our kitchen to you. So in this segment, we're going to be making some wonderful cinnamon tortilla chips to go along with the fruit salsa that we had already made. But what's the first thing we need to do, Allie?
Wash our hands.
So we're going to take a break, we're going to wash our hands, and we'll be right back to tell you about what we need to make our cinnamon chips. Okay, now that we've washed our hands, we're back with you, and we want to tell you about the ingredients that we're going to be using to make our cinnamon chips today. So with our homemade cinnamon tortilla chips, we're going to start off with some flour tortillas. We like to use the mini flour tortillas, but you can use whatever you would like in your family. You can also use flavored tortillas if you'd like, but we tend to use the ones that are the flour tortillas. So you can see, this is about the size that we're using today. We're also going to be using butter that we've melted. So we have about 2 tablespoons of butter, put it in a microwave safe container, and we melt it for about 30 seconds. Every microwave is a little bit different, so we recommend start off with about 20 seconds to melt that butter, and then to see, if it needs a little more time, stir it, and if it needs some more time, put it on for about 10-second increments. And then the last thing that we need for our cinnamon tortilla chips is our cinnamon sugar. And this is a ratio of 1/3 cup of sugar and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. If you like it a little more cinnamony, you can go ahead and add a little extra cinnamon. If you don't like it quite as cinnamony, use a little less. So whatever your family would like, it's a very versatile recipe that way. So we have that already mixed up and ready to go in our shaker. Okay, Allie, I'm going to have you go ahead and cut our tortillas for us. You can cut them in 4 pieces or 6 pieces, however you'd like. These are nice and soft tortillas, so they're easy to stack and cut fairly easily. If it's easier for you to stack them 1 or 2 and cut, it's whatever works best for you. Now, please note that if we were making these for others, not just for those in our family, we want to make sure that we put gloves on whenever we're touching foods that we're preparing. But since we're using these for our families, we're not having gloves on today. Okay, looks good. Doing a nice job there. And then we're going to lay them out on our parchment paper. We tend to put parchment paper on top of our cookie sheet, but if you don't have parchment paper or don't choose to use parchment paper, that's just fine as well. So we're going to lay those out in a single layer. There you go. Next bunch. However they fit on here. And we might have cut more than we need for this particular sheet. Can we get the rest of them on here? Yeah, they'll fit. There we go. And then Allie's going to lightly brush each of them with a little bit of that melted butter that we used. So, you don't want it to be too thick, because if it's too thick, then you're going to have clumpy pieces where that cinnamon's going to be on there. So it's just a really nice light brushing with that butter. So I've seen some recipes where they've used spray butter. You can also use margarine as well. And so those are some other options if you don't have butter at home and available to use for melting it for the cinnamon chips. Some other variations of this recipe, you can also, if you would want to mix up garlic and Parmesan, you can make garlic Parmesan chips as well. They don't go quite so well with the fruit salsa that we've made, but they are excellent with regular salsa. So that's an option that you might want to think about too if you're wanting to make some of your own chips at home. So there she's just about finished up, getting the butter on there. And then we're going to lightly sprinkle them with some cinnamon. we're going to put them in the oven, which we have already preheated. We have the oven preheated to 350 degrees, and we're going to put those in for about 5 minutes. Now again, sometimes what's good if you have a thermometer in your oven and you know that you have it right at 350 degrees, but we don't always have those oven thermometers in there. So I recommend that you put them on for about 4 minutes when you're first starting out, get a good feel for your oven, and then you can always put them on for another minute or two if needed, until they're nice and golden brown. Okay, so Allie's going to go ahead and sprinkle those with some cinnamon sugar. Just nicely, lightly sprinkle those. Okay, and those are ready to go in the oven. Okay, our tortilla chips are all done and ready to enjoy with our salsa. So if you have additional tortilla chips, you can go ahead and store those in an airtight container. Plastic container with a lid or a plastic bag works really well to store these. You want to make sure that you consume the salsa and your chips in about 3 days from the time they're made. So we hope that you really enjoy our chips and salsa, and we'll see you again for another edition of Kids in the Kitchen.